All right, welcome to this quick card video. I just did this one yesterday and I love it. It's kind of the silverish version, slightly rose-colored holographic with white ink and matted with this silver cardstock around it. I think that finished it off really nicely. The red, okay, so this kind of, I don't know, light pillar type of holographic comes in these multi-packs like this, and the red one's the one that I always kind of had questions of as far as usage goes. It's fairly dark, and I haven't been sure about what inks to use on it. Okay, so I did an experiment with black ink at some point in time. I think it might have been StazOn. I should have written it on the back. But you can't really see the image very well, all right? And that's not the way to go on that one, unless we do some blocking out. With the white would almost make it stand out a little bit too much. Maybe if we had some kind of pink or some kind of version of, a slightly pinker version of brilliance, maybe that would work. And there's different colors of brilliance, but I don't have too many of them. I have black, white, and the metallics, the silver, and the gold to work with. So, anyways, let's try and use some white inks on this instead. I'm going to just replicate this card, but we'll do it in the red version here, and we'll see if that, we'll see how that looks. Okay, so yesterday... Did I do my quote first? Let's do the quote first, and then I'll work my stars around it. I think I put the stars in first, and then I did my quote, and that's not a good way to go when you're working with letter forms. You don't want to have like a... This is all uppercase right here, but you don't want to have like a dotted something, over, a word that's not supposed to have a, like a dot or a letter form. All right, so we'll go in the upper left-hand corner. Be careful with stamping out your thicker styles of inks, brilliance, pigment inks, they're thick inks onto a very slippery card surface. Like when I set that down there, I felt a little bit of a slip. It's because there's no absorption taking place on this type of non-porous sealed surface. Okay, so if you smear it or something like that, just wipe it off with a paper towel and try it again. What I recommend is just doing a test print of a few stamps on this type of paper, and that way there's really no frustration going into it. It's like, unless, you can't get a print, within 20 tries or something like that. But you get the feel of it. You have to be kind of fairly decisive when you're going down like that. When you touch down, you can't adjust at all. All right. Normally, porous papers will grab that ink somewhat, and that moisture will start transferring almost immediately, on a cardstock. Even like a glossy cardstock is porous, but on something like this, you have to be fairly, decisive when touching down, and then you want to go with a good even pressure. All right, and when I'm doing this, a lot of times the first print or two on these types of foils like that, it takes a little bit of a, I don't know. I mean, I have the touch down, but also, if I just re-ink my pad or something like that where it's super juicy on there, it can get a little tricky. So I just do one test print to kind of get my bearings, and then I'm pretty much ready to go. It's like muscle memory if you don't do this for a while. You just do a test print or something like this, but thing about this type of ink, brilliance ink, on this type of foil, you can just wipe it off. I'd probably wipe it off with a like a soft paper towel or like a cotton ball, something like that. You don't want to scratch the surface or something like, with like a real crisp paper towel. You can kind of crumple it up a little bit and soften it up, and then just lightly remove it, and then just buff out the residual ink. Not hard or anything like that. You're just, lightly doing that, and it comes right off. It's really easy and very user-friendly in that respect. Okay, so that stamp right there, I stamped and held for a little bit of time. On this one right here, there's going to be more ink that's been used. So I'm going to allow this to transfer a little bit longer, like especially in this area right here where there's quite a bit of surface area. So Brilliance ink is a fast drying ink. It's not something like a solvent ink though. It is a water-based fast drying ink, so if you allow it to set up just a touch like this and allow that ink to start, I don't know, it's not coagulating or something like that, but it just starts to set up a little bit so that when you lift your stamp, it's not going to remove like all of the ink, okay? So you can see there's still quite a bit of ink remaining on here. I wouldn't be able to go for a second print on here, I don't think. Maybe it would yield kind of a lighter result, which could be cool too, but I'm not going to try on this one. So just allow that ink to transfer. It just depends how wet your pad is too. Relative humidity. If you're in a more arid area, maybe that transfer rate takes, I don't know, a third of the time. So that's what your test prints can be for too. When you're getting your bearings as far as impression pressure and contact, you can be testing out how long you should hold your stamp down on the surface and how much pressure you should use. It's not like some kind of perfect thing. Like it has to be like 25 seconds, and if you go whatever 30 or something like that, or when it comes to pressure, how much you should use. Now you shouldn't use a huge amount of pressure too, because you might be squashing that ink out from underneath here, because again, it's not absorbing into the surface right there. This is all surface oriented impressions, okay? Nothing is being absorbed into the paper, and that's the way a lot of inks work. They absorb into the paper. They kind of stain the surfaces. See that right there? That white one right there, that second print, it's stronger a little bit. Unless this one has just dried and it's getting more transparent there. But I don't know. I think that white looks pretty good on there. I think that, makes a much better statement. Yeah, definitely the white is the way to go, I think, on this one. Not that you can't use white and black or something like that if you're going for some kind of other type of look on here. Okay, so let's add in our stars in this one. Now you need to be careful because this ink is going to be wet for a period of time. It is a fast drying ink, like I said, but it is not a solvent style of ink. Okay, so I like to go for this little kind of more Milky Way-ish band of stars. And then I'll vary some of the sizes of my little dots. That's what that looks like that. But then I don't have, no stars out around the perimeter, but this is where stamping your quote stamp first, which I don't know if I did yesterday. comes into play. That way you can work around your letter forms. Maybe I should have added in the crystals first. Barely Art, Precision Art Glue. I had been using a different type of glue for years. I don't know, I didn't really glue too many things for a really long time. I was mostly doing glossy cardstock styles of applications of things and not doing too many constructions of anything where I would need glue, so I had a really old type of glue, but that's what's nice about kind of these rubber stamp forms these days. I'm talking about, the glue I had was probably like 20 years old or something. I don't know, maybe not that old. 15. But it's like, I don't know, everyone kind of recommended the same glue. So thank you. This one's been working great. All right, let's see where those other glue dots went. I'll go with most of these crystals in the same size, and then I think I'll go for one or two larger ones. Let's see. This glue really starts to set up pretty fast. And let's go for one slightly larger one. Oh, there's another one. Glue dot, that is. Now, if you miss a glue dot, and it dries, no big deal. It just makes kind of for a shinier little dot. Okay, but there's those crystals on there. I think those crystals really add a nice little touch to the scene. I could make some of these stars glow a little bit more with a little bit of a pigment ink on a Q-tip. I think I thought about doing that with yesterday's scene too, but I thought, I think I'm just going to leave them crisp on this one, just because, I don't know. I mean, it would make a nice textural contrast, but everything is just so sharp on this type of paper. I think that looks pretty good like that. Like just everything twinkly as opposed to kind of glowing. Although the glowing, like I said, it could maybe potentially add a little bit of dimension. All right, so I'm going to allow this to dry. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray seal this with a Krylon. I've just been using my triple thick on this, and that will lock down the pigment ink, okay? The acrylic paint pen that I used for those stars, that's set on here. I don't need to do anything to that area right there. I mean, it's going to get some overspray anyways, but the white impressions are the things that are going to need that sealant. And then what I do is I use a spray adhesive on the back of this, and I'm going to get this matted up and kind of framed off with some different types of paper. I'm not sure what to use, either gold and silver. No, when I say that out loud, I think the silver will look better with these white trees like that. Let's see how that would look. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Now, if I had like a rose or, colored, I do have just straight red foil. Yeah, here's an example of that right here. So I do have red foil. I'm just gonna put a little white border around this, and then we'll just use a plain red foil on here. So let's see what that one looks like. So, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes here or so to let this dry. You can heat set it, but I think heat setting would potentially make this paper bow a little bit, so we'll just let it air dry. and get those sprayed off and matted up, and we'll see what it looks like. All right, here we have this piece formatted, sprayed and formatted. Inks are locked down. And we have that little bit of white framing, and I do that to bring out the stars and I guess the imagery a little bit. Although that white's quite different than the white that we've stamped out our imagery in, because as it dries and as it gets spray sealed, it gets a little bit more translucent and you get that foil showing through it a little bit more. But we can see where this one was kind of a stronger impression. I don't know, if I kept that one sitting on the page longer or if just more ink built up on the stamp before I stamped it out. But okay, so this red foil framing on here. I really love the look of this piece here. I think it looked good with the silver around there too, but I really like this red. And with that quote in there, it occurred to me that that would be a pretty good, I don't know, whatever, scenic stamping Valentine's Day card. But I think that this white on red, I mean, this is like a Christmas ornament red here. I think this would be a really fantastic Christmas card as well. You can expedite the whole process too if you have some of the Dr. Martens bleed proof white and you just want to splatter paint a Milky Way in there. I mean, doing those little dots in there, the paint pen don't take, it doesn't take very long either. So I'm talking about 3 impressions on here, some of that paint like that, a few crystals, and I do think the crystals are, kind of add a nice touch to that too. But I don't know. I think this makes for a pretty dynamic and really simple card to do. But, we're just allowing, as I've said in the past on these different types of kind of exciting surfaces, is that that paper is doing a lot of the work for us. It's achieving all of these different color schemes. It's lighting at the same time, and we're just kind of providing the context for it with the imagery. We're saying that that's now a night sky up there, or kind of a light pillars, or a northern light type of look, that's happening in there with the different patterns and kind of movement it provides. It's almost like time lapse or something like that. If someone was doing time lapse photography of the northern lights, it would have kind of some interesting movement to it. All right, so anyways, another quick scene. I think for me personally, I think I've found my use of, or my process and techniques for this red type of paper. Black, it's not standing out too much on there, but the white I think looks really good. And there's actually some dimension to it, so unintentional in terms of getting these 2 prints to print out a little bit more, whatever, opaque and translucent, or a little bit more translucent, to those ones to the right. But I think that all came out pretty good. And on the quote stamp, to me, it's a little bit more of a difficult read when you have that letter form up there with all that kind of changing backgrounds. But I don't think people have a problem reading it. So it's certainly fun to do, and like I said, I really like the end results. Oh, so this is the Super 77 multi-purpose adhesive that I use on the back of this card to mat it onto the white, and I use this again to on the back of that white to mat onto this red perimeter like that. It makes really quick and easy work. You should spray it outside. You can use your tape runner for this type of thing too, but this makes for a really clean and super flat application, okay? Just a real thin, coating on the back of it, and it's ready to go. And then this is the, I used my workable fix. Did I use my workable fixative on this one? Maybe I did. I thought I was using my triple thick. I might have grabbed the wrong can, but the workable fixative worked just fine. It didn't kind of mat out, my end result too much. But I thought, that looks a little bit different than the one I did yesterday. So Any of those types of spray sealants would work just fine. And you don't have to give it a really thick slathering. You just want to lock down those inks adequately, because anybody you give this card to, they're not going to be rubbing their finger across there trying to smear it out or anything like that. So just kind of a light coating on here, and just enough to lock down your printed Brilliance ink on there. All right, so thanks again for watching. And as always, thanks for tuning into the Stampscapes channel. If you like these videos, hope you take a moment to hit the like button, and if you feel so inclined, to comment, and that helps out the channel a lot, and I would really appreciate it. All right,